Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to this YouTube channel, and this is the third part of our Laravel tutorial series. And in this video, we're going to tackle about the basic routing and controllers. But before we do that, let's just run through the code or structure of our project right now. So as we have mentioned before, Laravel uses the model view controller or MVC format or structure. So here in our project, there's specific areas for those types of things. So there's specific areas for the model, there's a specific area for the view, and specific area for our controllers. So we're going to get to that later on this video. And if we try to open the app folder, here we can see the user.php file, which is this is actually a model, and we won't go through the code right now, but this particular file is a user, or I mean a model user.php, and we can add all the models here inside the app folder. But we can actually use, or we can actually have another folder here. So we can add project folder here and try to name it as models. If we have like 50 or 100 models for our project, so we can add a subfolder for this app folder. But if you have only maybe less than 10 or less than 20 models, you can just leave it here inside the app folder. And also, if you try to open up the app folder and under HTTP and then controllers, here we can see the base controller .php, which is extending the base controller, and all the methods and functions of this base controller, we can use it in our controller files. And also Laravel creates a folder for the other controllers, such as the login controller, register controller, and reset password controller. So all of these controllers, we can use we can use this readily if we try to enable the auth for our project. And if we try to create a controller, we can actually manually create a file here, or that PHP file, which is for our controller. And also we can use, or we can create a model by just manually adding it here. But the best way for adding controllers and the model is by using the artisan. Now, if you're wondering what is this namespace app, so this is just basically grouping our classes or our code. So this is pretty common, especially if you're working the object-oriented way of programming. So we're just basically grouping our classes and try to distinguish between different classes and the same classes inside this directory. And also, if you see the illuminate here, don't get confused. It is just basically a core files or core functions coming from the Laravel, so don't worry about this. Now, views are going to be on the resources folder, and under resources, views, and then here we have the welcome.blade.php. And as we all know that Laravel uses the Blade templating system, so it is just basically an HTML with dynamic mechanism in them. So we can see if statement, we can see loops, we can see variables by using the Blade templating system. Okay, so now that we get that out of the way, we can go to basic routing for our project. So basically, what we want is to add a pages controller where we can add the about pages, home pages, contact, or any other page that we want to add in our project. So if we try to go to our project and routes here and web, we can see here that we have the route and colon, and then the type of request that we want, and then the URL, and of course the function that uh, returns something or uh, put a lot of operation inside this function. So we'll try that for now, and let's try to open up our project in our browser. So here is our project and pkproject.loc/. So here's the home page where we can see all the links and the title Laravel. Now let's try and go back to our code and try to edit, and instead of returning the welcome, we can just return something like a text or string. So return hello world, something like this, and then save, and let's go back to our browser and refresh. So as you can see, we have here the hello world text that we can see, and it is coming from our router or route and get, and then the URL, which is the slash represent the homepage of our project, and of course the string hello world. Okay, so for now, let's copy this and let's just return this to the original for our index. So this is the home page of our app or application, and this will be the hello page of our project. So this is basically, we're just going to display hello world, and we can also add HTML tag in here. So just like that, and then save, and let's go back to our browser and refresh. So pkproject.loc, this will be the home page, right? And if we try to add hello here, it will display our updated hello world string, and this is with the h1 tag. Now if you are trying to submit a form or you are going to delete something, so you can just change this into post if you are submitting by a form. So working with the route is very easy. So say for example, we have pages in our project, and let's try to go to, where is it, resources, and then we want to separate our pages here. So let's just add a pages folder, and in this folder we're going to create another file, which is the name of our file will be the about.blade.php. Okay, so in our about.blade.php we can just say about. Okay, save that one, and let's go back to our route file, and instead of, I think we're just going to change this into get, and then let's just copy and paste this here. So instead of hello, so we're just going to name it about, or the URL will be /about, and then instead of returning the HTML, so we're going to return the view now. And notice that we have the about view inside our pages folder. So we're just going to add pages and then add that or period there, and then the keyword about. So let's try it, save the file, and let's go back to our browser. Okay, so here we are at our browser, and instead of using the hello, let's change it into about. So as you can see here, we have the about word here that is coming from our about.blade.php file. And also there are times that we need to submit dynamic values in our request. So say for example, we want to submit or we want to request a user with this particular ID. So let's go back to our web.php file and let's just copy this. So instead of just using the about, let's change it, I think, for change it to users. And then in order for us to be able to submit an ID, so we can just add a placeholder here, and this will represent our ID. And inside our function, it should have a parameter ID that represents the ID of the user. So instead of returning the view for now, let's just display this is a user, and then we're just going to add the name or the ID of the user. So let's just save this and go back to our browser and refresh. So instead of using the about, so let's go ahead and try to open up the users and let's try to submit 15. So this is a user 15, or say for example name of the user is Joe. This is a user Joe, but most of the time we are requesting a particular ID, and then based on that ID we can query that into our database. Alright guys, I think that's it for this particular video, and in the next video we're going to discuss how to create controllers inside our Laravel project. Thanks.